So this morning we have to begin in the battleground state of Georgia, which is once again shattering records with more than 328,000 ballots cast on the first day of in-person early voting. That's according to state officials. That is double the number of early votes from the 2020 election. The swing state has been heavily campaigned in this election cycle by both Democrats and Republicans. And get this, overnight, a judge blocked a new rule that would have required ballots in the state to be hand-counted after election night. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney said in the ruling that the state election board believes the hand-count rule is smart election policy, but its timing of passage, quote, makes implementing it wrong. Tia Mitchell joins us now to discuss. She's the Washington correspondent for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. A good friend of mine. We go way back, Tia. Thanks for waking up with us this morning. We saw the judge write in his decision that the rule requiring counties to hand count ballots would cause administrative chaos. So help us understand this decision and how it might affect poll workers.
Well, good morning to you. Yes, the decision came out late yesterday, but essentially the judge didn't rule on the merits of whether this change implemented by the state election board will be good or bad. He acknowledged that the state election board members think it's a good thing, but he mostly focused on the timing and said that this rule, which was passed a couple of weeks ago, mid-September, it was slated to be implemented in about another week, which would be, very close to the election. And because the rule mandated that 3 poll workers in every precinct in Georgia would have to be in charge of hand counting ballots, he said there just wasn't enough time to make sure poll workers were trained and felt comfortable with this new requirement, this new kind of duty they would have to do. And he said, therefore, he was going to block its implementation. Now, we do expect there to be an appeal, but for right now, that change is on hold because the judge said he was concerned that poll workers, just with so much they already have to do, didn't have time to be trained to be able to carry this out effectively.
Let's touch a little bit more on that because, of course, this is the heat of the election. We're in the middle of it. We're weeks away. The injunction is being praised by Democrats, but of course, Georgia was the focus of Trump's unfounded claims in the 2020 election that it was stolen. You say it may be challenged, but help us understand how Republicans will continue to react to this.
Yeah, and I think we should point out that even among Republicans, reaction to this change by the state election board, as well as several others, has not been universally embraced among Republicans. You've had Republican leaders in Georgia say they feel that the state election board went too far, implemented things too late in the game, and was perhaps sowing chaos in the election system. But the state election board members, which because of changes that were implemented by some of those same Republicans who are now critical of the board. But the newly empowered, newly more conservative board says they want to boost confidence in the election. So, for example, this hand counting of ballots, they say it's not hand tabulation, but it's hand counting just so they can reconcile if the number of ballots in hand matches up with the number of ballots that the machines say represent votes cast on election day. So they say it's about checks and balances, and that would allow to look at any discrepancies to make sure, every now and then there have been human errors in Georgia that showed, a box of ballots got missed. Now, again, nothing that would affect the outcome of the election, but the state election board says this would make sure everything was proper, reconciled, ballots equals ballots counted.
Tia Mitchell, we will stay focused on your state. Thanks so much for joining us today.